speak a lot about a couple of different things with you all, but I certainly want to speak to you, my brother, about being ex-incarcerated. I'm with a group now called EXPO, which is ex-incarcerated people organizing. I'm the former vice president, and I'm now the organizer for Southeast Wisconsin, which is Racine, Kenosha, Walworth County. I really want to speak a lot about my opportunity to come home earlier than usual, which was a blessing of a thing, but it was also something that was quite hard to get. I had to file a motion to get back into court for it, which was a hoop that I really shouldn't have had to jump, but I did. ERP was something that was offered to a very slim few. And so for that reason, it needs to be greatly expanded, and it needs to be expanded not just around drug and alcohol use, it needs to be expanded around behavioral as well. And I say that because there are a lot of people in prison who don't identify as having a drug or alcohol problem, but they do acknowledge that they've got some missteps in their lives. And cognitive development stuff around that is important. The fact that a lot of people take groups and programming in prison that are around anger management, which I was a tutor for, CGIP and Thinking for a Change, which I was also a tutor for, the cognitive intervention, cognitive development. All of that is, that's in my wheelhouse, so I know what we're talking about in that regard. And I feel comfortable to say that those pieces encompass a lot of people who are in prison, a lot. That is a very large percentage. And the ERP that existed for them was cut out around 2010 when Scott Walker came into office. It was called non-drug addictive ERP. You didn't have to have a drug need or be classified as a drug addicted person in order to get into that ERP. And that ERP would have pushed a significant amount of numbers. And for that reason, I say that rehabilitation is an important thing. I say this because the money that DLC and the other systems keeps asking for are speaking to rehabilitation and recovery and getting people back in a public safety kind of way. If that's what we're doing, there are a whole lot of people in prison who are sitting for a lot longer than they should be. And the reason being is because there aren't enough systems that qualify them as being in a rehabilitative category. ERP is not only that kind of system that can do that, but it's also the kind of system that is a release valve that will release people once they've completed, which means they've complied, which means that they've met a certain kind of criteria. Not an arbitrary sort of criteria, but a flat blanket. You can read it when you're in prison, you can read it when you're a citizen out here at home kind of criteria. That way there's some real transparency, there's some real accountability, and there isn't room for, we'll call it discretion.